The Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas. The State Chamber AIA is the leading voice for business at the state capitol and serves as the primary business advocate on all issues affecting Arkansas employers. Our mission is to promote a pro-business, free enterprise agenda and prevent anti-business legislation, regulations, and rules. Now more than ever, business matters. Learn more at arkansasstatechamber.com.
Time now for some alphabet soup. Michael Tilley with our content partner, The City Wire, joins me from Fayetteville to talk about chicken, home sales, and a whole lot of politics. Welcome back to the program, Michael.
It's always good to be here, Roby.
Let's begin with politics. Let's talk about Bill Halter out of the governor's race. Kind of clears the path for Mike Ross to get the Democratic nomination. It puts also about $2 million of primary money that Mike Ross has raised into his general election campaign fund. Does this give Mike Ross the upper hand, or do you think that this just kind of levels the playing field between him and the presumptive GOP nominee, Asa Hutchinson?
I don't see how it levels the playing field much. I mean, it by all accounts, I mean, we still have a long ways to go. We have 15-something months to go to the general, but this appears to be Mike Ross's race to lose. I mean, if Asa is going to get in the game and be competitive, he's going to have to raise a lot of money. He's going to have to do it in the next quarter to prove to folks that he's capable of doing it. He's going to have to come out with a great message that appeals to the Arkansas conservative voter, many of which have been fans of Democratic Governor Mike Beebe. And then Asa may also have to have the political gods play in his favor, some kind of controversy on Ross's side. But I mean, this, like I said, this is Ross's race to lose.
All right, let's shift to another development in politics this week. Let's talk about Congressman Tom Cotton appears poised to announce his U.S. Senate bid next Tuesday, challenging incumbent Democrat Senator Mark Pryor. Does this race shape up to be the premier race of 2014 to you, not only here in Arkansas, but perhaps nationally?
Well, yes, you hit it. I was going to say not only in Arkansas, but nationally. And of course, the interesting thing also in Arkansas is all the political dominoes that this has caused and will continue to cause as Cotton shifts to that Senate race. But yes, I mean, the money, I wouldn't be surprised if we set records in terms of money on this. And of course, I think the other thing, it may make the primaries a little more dull than normal, but the general election in 2014 is certainly going to be interesting. And I suspect the Senate race could get nasty. I mean, who knows what we may learn about Mr. Cotton and Mr. Pryor that we didn't know already, and we may even learn some things that aren't quite true also, but this race could get quite nasty.
Yeah, I tend to think and agree with you that the negatives in this race are what's going to drive the outcome of this election, particularly with independent voters. You're going to see Mark Pryor portrayed as equal to President Obama in some respects, and you're going to see Tom Cotton portrayed as too extreme. Is that kind of how you see it shaping up?
Oh, exactly. I mean, Cotton's going to want to, not provide any support for your child from cradle to grave. He's going to want to take it all away. And Mark Pryor is going to want the government to completely control your life. That's what we're going to be taught to believe over the next 15 months or so.
All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk business. Let's talk about something that happened this past week and actually happened a little more than a month ago, and that is a poultry ban. Hong Kong, China, Japan, Russia, all putting a ban on poultry products from Arkansas. That was heightened a little bit this week. Basically, in Scott County, there was an isolated incident of some avian flu. That's what led to this poultry import block. On the surface, what's your gut reaction to that? Does it have any impact on the Arkansas poultry industry?
I think it has minimal impact. I know we in the media sometimes we like to make a big deal out of it, but most of these processors, they can pull that poultry or those products from other states to fill that need. Even some of the smaller companies like OK Foods in Fort Smith and Simmons in Siloam Springs, not that they're small companies, but relatively speaking, and they can pull the product from Oklahoma or other areas to fill those markets, and to some extent, it doesn't really hurt the Arkansas market, because that poultry will go to a country or other places where there is no ban. Now, for that small farmer, certainly that's a problem. But I think too often we in the media make bigger deals out of these bans than we should, and also we have to keep in mind that China and Russia, they like to throw these bans around because it also helps their domestic market for a period of time. So I tend to take these with a grain of salt.
Let's talk about Tyson Foods, which will report its earnings on Monday morning, supposedly bright and early. What should we be watching for in that Tyson Foods earnings report? Give me a little sneak preview.
Well, I think the market expects a pretty good report. I think they're expecting around 59 cents a share, which would be above what it was last year. 8.6 billion in revenue, which is roughly around 300 million more than the quarter last year. The market is very optimistic about Tyson Foods, and I personally don't see any reason why that optimism is unfounded. I think if there is a caveat, it's going to be on the beef segment. You know, Tyson's chicken segment and to some extent their pork segment is doing well, but it's, brings us to that classic advertising question, where's the beef? And their margins, the margin in the beef industry has been very tough across the board, not just with Tyson, and with almost half of their revenue, half of their business coming from the beef side. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays into their revenue and their income picture. And there'll also be commentary about the commodity, the pressures on their commodity and how that affects margins and other aspects of their business. But I don't see any real reason we're going to have any negative surprise with the Tyson earnings on Monday.
All right, we'll be looking for that at thecitywire.com or on talkbusiness.net. Let's shift gears, talk a little bit about home sales here. For the first 6 months of 2013, we have seen basically in the 4 largest metro areas, we've seen home sales up about 10%. The breakdown by market, Central Arkansas up 8.9% for the first 6 months. Jonesboro up 10.7%. We've got Northwest Arkansas over 14% increase, and then sales during the same period are down 2.5% in the Fort Smith area. What's your gut reaction to that? Are we seeing outside of Fort Smith a full, robust housing rebound, or is this just kind of a little bit good news but not great news?
Well, about 3 or 4 months ago, I would have told you that we haven't seen enough months to say that there is a trend, but I mean, we're halfway into the year, and we started seeing improvements last year also. 2012 was maybe historically speaking, we may call that a rebound market, but I think we've seen enough. And again, unfortunately, the Fort Smith market, which continues to have persistent unemployment problems, and that's a big factor there. But outside of that market, I think the Arkansas home industry is doing well. And 10.3%. My only concern is how they sustain that. I don't think we're going to go back into negative territory, but I'm not sure we'll end up at the end of the year at a 10% gain across the board. It may be more like 8, 6, 4%, but still you're seeing the prices go up, or the number of home sales go up, and you're seeing that price level stay at a good rate. It's not getting too high. I don't see any hyperinflation in there, and so far some of the foreclosure properties that are going back into the market haven't diluted that sales level. So just a classic so far so good picture for Arkansas's home industry.
All right, 60 seconds left here. Some hospital moves up in the Fort Smith and Northwest Arkansas area. Community Health System buying Health Management Associates as part of a $7.6 billion deal. It's going to force some consolidation in the hospital and healthcare markets up in your neck of the woods, western and northwest Arkansas. Does this survive an antitrust review?
Well, I think it does. Because the federal regulators are going to look at it from a national perspective. I think my only concern, and not concern, is if it goes through or not. It's going to be a shareholder vote, and there's some complicating factors there. But it's a good price for the share. And what it essentially does in the Fort Smith and Northwest Arkansas markets, it takes them from having 3 large hospital operators to 2, and it'll be essentially the Mercy Systems and Community Health Systems. I know there's Washington Regional in Fayetteville, and that's a large independent, but in terms of large hospital operators, we'll have 2. We'll go from 3 to 2, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of dynamic that has on the healthcare economies in those 2 regions.
All right, he's Michael Tilley with the City Wire. You can keep up with his daily reports at thecitywire.com. You can also access all of that through talkbusiness.net too. Thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate you.